He created a little company called MapMyFitness, okay, grew it to over 20 million users, and then exited to Under Armour, where he now serves as Senior Vice President. Please help me welcome to the stage Mr. Robbins, Senior VP at Under Armour. Come on up. Hey, thanks for coming up, man. Appreciate it. Grab the mic, make yourself comfortable. All right. So who the hell convinced you to agree to do this?
I don't know. You guys sent me an email.
It was Allison, right?
I'm here in town. We're just down the street, hiring too. So those in the audience, we love it here in Austin.
Very good. Well, guys know the first question is always, Robin, are you ready to take us to the top?
Yes.
Awesome. Let's do this. So first things first, you founded MapMyFitness. What year did you found it, and why did you create it?
So in 2006, I was working in finance, living in Boston. I went on a cycling trip, so I've been a cyclist my whole life. Started riding the bike when I was 8, was a professional cyclist when I was young. And I went on a cycling trip in 2006 to Europe, and we were sitting around at a dinner table, and a bunch of people just sitting there. We were riding all these small goat path roads in the Alps in a little town called Andermatt, Switzerland. And somebody at dinner said, well, it'd be great if I could know all these roads without, I want to come back next year without you being here. And I was like, God, I don't think anything like that exists. So I started doing some research. I bought the domain MapMyRide. I, really built this whole product document, had a couple of developers in Boulder start coding MapMyRide. And
guys, tell me real quick. So you had no development background? You were strictly business side?
I was mostly a product guy. So a lot, even in finance, built a couple of subscription businesses, had built web businesses. So I knew a lot about infrastructure, and actually we had been using Google Maps in the enterprise side. So had quite a bit of product background.
So how did you convince the developers to join you? Because the business folks always go, how do you get the developers to work on the freaking project, right? How did you get them to do it?
These guys were cyclists. They were good friends of mine. They were really, really good developers. So it wasn't too hard. They were excited about it at the time. It wasn't. Now looking back, and then one of them quit. So the story is one of them quit.
I hope they were on a vesting schedule.
No, we didn't even have stock then.
Okay.
And so a friend of mine was like, oh, I think there's a MapMyRun. And so my other co-founder, Kevin Callahan, who was living in San Diego at the time, I reached out to him and I was like, do you want to sell the website? Again, the story goes that I went to someone and I was like, that was a runner. And they were like, oh, I think there's a MapMyRun. And I was like, that's weird. So I reached out to Kevin. He was like, oh, yeah, I'll sell you the website, no problem. He was this sort of beach bum living on a beach in San Diego.
How much did you buy it for?
It was going to be $5,000.
$5,000? Okay, so not so bad.
So anyway, so then I had this developer quit, and he was a Johns Hopkins engineer. And I called him back and I said, do you want to quit your job? And he's like, yeah, I hate my job.
From Johns Hopkins?
Yeah.
How much was he making at Johns Hopkins?
No. He was a Johns Hopkins graduate engineer.
Got it.
Working for literally a totally small SEO company in San Diego, making $30,000 a year.
Okay, that's what I wanted. What salary did you convince him to give up? Okay.
Not much.
Not much.
Not much. But he moved to Denver. We moved the company to Denver, and we launched MapMyWalk, MapMyHike, MapMyTry. We had this whole idea. We actually had at the end we had 250 domains. We had MapMyBeerCrawl and MapMyHorseback Riding, and we had all these
People are watching
domains.
right now. It's the pizza and beer at 11:30 at night on a Saturday, and you think you have a brilliant business idea. What's everyone go do? You go to HostGator, you buy the domain, and you end up with 100, right?
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we did that.
So pull us forward real quick. How long did it take you to get to 20 million monthly active users from the day you were founded?
2006, we actually had about 1 million users on the web even before the iPhone launched, but MapMyRun and MapMyRide were app number 97 in the store and number 101. So we were really, really early. That obviously exploded everything, but essentially 2006 to when we exited in 2013.
Okay, and when you exited, were you at 20 million? That was the number?
Yeah.
Okay, how did you make money?
So we everybody thinks of that classic story on Facebook where they're like, don't take advertising because it's not cool. That wasn't us. We were we definitely don't care if we're cool or not. We are going to take money from bike stores and running stores and running
Grandma
events
and grandpa,
whoever. It was give us a donation, give us money. So we had an ad business very early on in the company. We started a subscription business very early on because both Kevin and I had experience in building subscription businesses. And then we had a pretty good strategy initially where we built all of our own products on top of our own API.
Okay.
And so we started licensing the API. So we also had a SaaS business when Under Armour bought us. That was, it was significant. It was, $5+ million in SaaS revenue that we had built off the top of the platform.
The $5 million was that was annualized.
That was just our SaaS business. We had subscription revenue. We had an advertising business. When Under Armour bought us, I think it's public. We were about $17 million in revenue.
Okay, and that was forward-looking, or that was the past 12 months?
No, that was the past 12 months.
Okay, past 12
when
months.
Under Armour bought us.
So what the month before Under Armour bought you? What was that monthly revenue?
Oh, we were doing over $1 million.
And so when you had the negotiations with Under Armour, first off, how'd they start?
They didn't even care about the revenue. Under Armour was like, we don't really care about any of those businesses. Like, we want to build a community. We have a vision around health and fitness. Like, it's not, we still have those businesses, and they're actually growing because we put together a network of sites and apps, and they're very important businesses to us now because they're much larger. But at the time, it wasn't actually part of the consideration. It was really about the user base.
The community base. Okay, so let's talk about that then. Some unit economics around each individual user you got. You got up to 20 million. They were obviously paying you money. What was your average revenue per user per month?
Boy, you are getting really specific here. We were doing. I think we were roughly about $5 per user in the U.S.
Okay.
and less than 30 cents outside the U.S.
Per month or annualized?
Annualized.
Annualized.
And sorry, per month. No, it was our per month. Yeah.
Okay. And I know we're going back a few years, so it's
Yep.
okay. We have these great editing people that can slip and slide and move it and change it if we get anything wrong.
No worries.
Good. What did it cost you to get that user? How are you acquiring customers?
We were very fortunate. We never did. All of our marketing was essentially driven through the app stores or through organic. So people would share maps, or they would invite a friend in to do a challenge, or they would tell people about it organically. So we never really spent any money on acquisition. So we were very, very lucky to acquire really 100% of our user base through organic sort of connections.
Well, so there's some viral loop there where they share. Is this the thing they were sharing their run?
They were sharing
on Facebook,
a run.
the
They'd
image?
share a run. We'd get user audience from that, whether it be Facebook or Twitter or directly. So actually before really Facebook or any of that took off, people would literally send people the links of their routes. Like, that was the way that our whole system started. So they would create a route on the site, and they would send that to a friend via email, and then that would drive traffic back into the site.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So did you always want to exit the business?
No, we were kind of at a point in the business where it was like either a lot of the counsel we were getting from the investment banks, our investment bank was Allen & Company, and others was like, you either got to go big or go home. Like,
this was what year?
It was early 2013.
Okay.
So we were kind of in the process of looking at raising 50 to 100 million and kind of rolling up some of the market and going after it in a bigger way. We had a number of VC firms that had basically come to us looking to do that Series D.
Did you actually have the letters of intent? And
we did not. The reason we did not, we were about to. The reason we did not go that far is because literally Kevin Plank called me in the middle of the whole thing. Like, he called me. He was a user of MapMyRun, using it 3 days a week. And he basically originally just called. He was like, what are you doing with the business? And I was like, well, I'm trying to build this massive sports company on,
He didn't have like one of his investment banker friends call him and go, hey, just so you know that app they're raising.
He literally called me. He literally personally called me. They did not know we were raising. And he called me out of the blue. And he was like, what do you do? And I was like, Kevin Plank from Under Armour's calling me? Like, this is bizarre. And then he was like, no, I'm a user. I use it 3 times a week.
This is
I love
the
this
CEO
thing.
of Under Armour, right?
CEO of Under Armour. He's like, I absolutely love this product. Like, what are you doing with it? Like, we're building this hardware over here. We're not sure what we're going to do. So it was very opportunistic, and literally then we sort of cut off the process
for the Series D.
Yeah, and we basically went into the process of selling the company.
What were you? Because I have a guess that this might have to do with the exit price. When you were negotiating kind of the Series D docs and thinking about pre-money and post-money valuation, what was the pre-money valuation you were trying to raise at, and how much were you looking to raise?
We were trying to raise over 200, so we were pretty set on that number had to be 2 to 250.
Okay, so you were 200 million pre-money.
Pre-money.
And 250 post-money, so you're going to raise 50 million.
Yeah, 50, exactly.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So it's always great when it starts off that it's a power user calling you. It happens to be the CEO of a company that has some cash on their books. How has it changed from I love your app to here's $150 million?
Well, we went to visit him. I think Under Armour was, what Kevin will say is that they were in this moment where, they only had about 20 engineers in the entire company. Most of them were e-commerce because they had a fairly large e-commerce business in 13. And, he will say that the challenge that Under Armour had was that it wasn't that they didn't know the answers to the questions about how they should participate in digital. Mm-hmm. They didn't even know the questions. So it was about really acquiring a team. And so the first time I met Kevin, it was just like, getting and selling a company is a little bit like dating, right? You get together with the CEO and you're like, does he like you? Does he not like you? Does he call you back? Like, he didn't call for 3 days. Oh my God, my stomach hurts. Why isn't he calling me back?
And he knew he was doing that to you.
No, actually, Kevin's team would argue he was the reverse. Like, Kevin was like constantly calling me, like trying to make sure I felt good. Like, how was it going?
They're telling him, don't make him feel good. We need a cheaper price.
They were like, don't call. Don't call. The price is going to go up if you keep calling. So it was very much that mode. We had a great relationship, really right off the bat. It was, great communication between the teams. So as their teams started to meet our teams, and it just seemed like a really natural progression path, frankly, for Under Armour. I mean, it wasn't, obviously their competitor, Nike was doing a lot in the space.
Did Nike put in a bid as well?
In what?
For the sale?
No.
So you didn't run a
No, we did not run a process. It was like once we found Under Armour, we were sure it was home for us.
Okay.
And just basically, I mean, it was fast though. I mean, for those of you who have been through deals, like we literally, the day Kevin called me to basically the public announcement, which was not the actual close date, but the public announcement for a public company is a very important date. It was less than 3 months.
Wow.
So it was fast.
That's very fast.
It was very fast.
Before we get into my favorite part of the show, Robin, I want to ask you just a few rapid fire questions. So right before you sold 17 million, trailing 12 months revenue, how many total employees?
We were 103 employees.
And about how much revenue or cash were you burning per month?
We were getting like, I would say maybe 200K, 300K. It wasn't a terrible burn.
Okay, so how much money did you have in the bank? How much runway did you have when you sold?
Oh, we had years. I mean, we had only a year before we had raised a Series C from a strategic partner, and we had time.
How much was the Series C?
$5 million.
Got it. So how much total had you raised?
21 million.
Very cool. Well, Robin, before we get into my favorite part of the show, if people want to connect with you personally online, where can they find you? This is where you give out your phone number, your email, your social security number.
I have gone incognito on the web. It's a little.
Allison's going. Don't give the numbers.
Don't give the number. You can certainly hit me on my Twitter account, Robin J. Thurston. Facebook, all of the above. I'm on, so you can find me there.
All right, Top Tribe. There you have it. Find him on Twitter. All right, let's get into my favorite part of the show. Robin, you know what's next?
No.
Dude, you got to know what's next. It's time It's time for the famous 5. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right, number 1. What is your favorite business book?
My favorite business book, Career Warfare.
Who's the CEO of that? Or the writer?
The writer was the CEO of John Hancock. It's an amazing book if you're thinking about how to manage your career.
Number 2.
Frankenfield or something.
Frankenfield?
Yeah.
All right, number 2, here we go. Is there a CEO, it can't be Kevin. Is there a CEO that you're following or studying right now?
A CEO that I'm following or studying? No.
Nobody. Okay, cool. I thought you might slip like the CEO of your next acquisition target at Under Armour or something. You might get some good information. All right, number 3. Is there a favorite online tool you have? Maybe like Evernote.
I do use Evernote. I do like Evernote. But I would say my tool of choice, because I travel about 170 days a year, is a car sharing service.
Diplomatic.
I'm diplomatic. I use both.
a car sharing service. Very good. All right. Last number 4. Obviously you sold the business. As you're building this empire at Under Armour, are you getting 8 hours of sleep every night?
No, see, we have this thing called HealthBox, and I know for a fact I'm not getting 8 hours of sleep. I'm about a 6-hour, 10-minute guy.
That's what the data says.
That's what the data says. And it's automatic sleep tracking if you want to know.
And what's the website that can buy it?
UnderArmour.com. You can buy everything at UnderArmour.com.
There you go. Data-driven.
Including these Stephen Currys.
I love it. Data-driven guy over here. All right, last question. Give us a little perspective. Are you married, single? Do you have kids?
I have amazing family. My wife and I, beautiful. She's amazing. She takes care of me. She understands everything that's going on. I have 2 children, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and I'm expecting one on my birthday, August 18th.
Wow, congratulations. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, and how old are you right now?
I'm 43.
Take us back 23 years. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
My 20-year-old self. I never thought I'd stop being a cyclist at 20. So, you never so there's a great saying, right? Like, you never actually know what's going to happen. I could not have predicted that I would be where I am today. No question.
Top Tribe, there you have it. From launching his company after sharing biking routes with his friends, growing it to 20 million active users, 17 million trailing 12-month revenue at a $5 revenue per user, and $150 million exit to Under Armour. Robin, thank you for taking us to the top.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. You're great. That was great.